And welcome in to Believe Me right here on Stadium TV. My name is Cam Rogers, and I have zero clue what I'm betting on here this weekend. Thankfully, I have these two fine gentlemen, the legendary handicapper himself, Brandon Lang. It's a big month for him for March Madness, BrandonLang.com. Clay Harbor, the former NFL tight end. Gentlemen, exciting month here. How we doing?
I'm doing great. BrandLang.com. Nice little run Sunday through Wednesday. Of course, action Thursday, Friday. And then, I love conference tournaments. I love Selection Sunday. Seeing how close Joe Lunardi is, the matchups, the projected matchups, 8 versus 9, the 12 versus the 5s, the 13 versus the 4s. A 14 is going to beat a 3. As this year, we're going to have another 15 beat a 2. Only once has a 16 beat a 1. Virginia goes down to Maryland County, Baltimore, I think it was. The Terriers get it done, the 16 over a 1. It's an exciting tournament. Some people have at least 20 teams that can win it. So really looking forward to that. For me, March is my favorite month of the entire year. I'm a college basketball junkie. I love handicapping it, watching it. Just a white boy with a jump shot, man. Just a white boy with a jump shot.
No, I love that, Brandon. I love March too, man. You got the college basketball, the NBA's heating up, the draft's coming up, free agency and NFL's about to hit hot and heavy. So I love it all. March is a beautiful month for me as well, and I'm ready to go and make some of these picks.
Before we get to college basketball, gentlemen, let's go to some games in the association, the NBA. We'll start with the Knicks taking on the Clippers. Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern time. After your brunch on Saturday, you can watch this one. The Knicks finally lost a basketball game recently to Charlotte to end that 9-game win streak. And you have the Clippers, who were once on a 5-game losing streak not too long ago themselves. So something sort of has to give here. Brandon, we start with you, sir. What's the move on this one?
People ask me all the time, what's the hardest sport to bet? My answer is the NBA. And there's no rhyme or reason for things that happen in the NBA. Guys take nights off. Steve Kerr resting the whole Golden State Warriors starters when people pay a premium to watch them play on the road. And then you have the Knicks going to Boston, win a double OT game on Sunday, 9-game winning streak. You come home against the losing Charlotte Hornets. You're a 10-point favorite, and you lose outright. Now, you're going to tell me that the New York Knicks, riding a 9-game winning streak, having a day off after beating Boston, it's not like they were playing on back-to-back nights and couldn't get up. So you beat Boston, you come back home. It's Sunday night. You go out in Manhattan, you party a little bit, you get your swerve on. Monday, a day of rest. You come in for the shoot-around, the walkthrough, getting them up out of bed. Tuesday, you wake up, same thing. And then you show up Tuesday night as a 10-point favorite and can't even win the game. That, to me, is what makes it hard about betting the NBA. Now they fly out west. They play Sacramento on Thursday night. Results not known at this time. And then they have a day off. They'll roll into the Ritz-Carlton in Marina Del Rey where all the NBA teams play and get ready to take on the Clippers Saturday. It would be just like the Knicks to win this game, but they won't. I like the matchup of George and Leonard. They're playing well. Big win over Toronto the other night. I'm going to take Clippers probably laying a 3.5 number. I think Kawhi's got this team heading in the right direction, and I'm going to lose with the Clippers before I try to win with the New York Knicks.
Clay, for what it's worth, the Knicks lost to LA earlier this year in overtime, 134-128. Are you with B. Lang, or are you going in the opposite direction?
The Clippers are 19-7 on the road versus spread. They're 2-3 in the last 5 games versus spread. The Knicks, 4 of the last 5 versus the spread. So I know they did lose that game, which they had no reason losing. They're the better team there, but I love Julius Randle, 25 points, 10 rebounds. The guy's a baller. I might have to go against Brandon Lang here. We're going to have to start keeping track of these. We didn't keep track last week. We're going to start keeping track now. So I'm going with the Knicks. They've won 9 straight before that loss. I think they get right back on track and they win this one.
Brandon, you have the Clippers as the favorites, as the projected line, if you will. I feel like I'm going with Clay on the first one because it just smells like get right game for the Knicks. When you lose to Charlotte, Brandon, like there's a get right spot happening sometime in the near future. Am I wrong?
The get right spots in Sacramento. Let's see what they do against the Kings. I mean, conversely, it's show up, put up, or shut up. Our boy loves Julius Randle against Charlotte. I think he partied a little too much on Sunday, Monday because he was 5 of 17 from the floor, 2 of 9 from 3, 4 of 6 from the line, 16 points, absolutely imploded. Now he's going to go out west. You think he's going to be focused? It's another Sunday night in LA. I don't know, boys. You can have all the clips you want. I'm sorry. It's a Friday night in LA before a Saturday game. Always the worst scenario for a road team is a Friday night in LA before a Saturday game. Good luck to the Knicks, boys. I wish you all the best.
Beware the vodka sodas on a Friday night in Los Angeles. I'm sticking with Clay, but yes, the Knicks have to be careful here of reading too many headlines out there. All right, next game. Mavericks, Grizzlies, Saturday night, 8 o'clock. It's been a mixed bag for Dallas since the Kyrie Irving deal, guys. For what it's worth, Dallas trounced Memphis at the beginning of the season. These two play 3 times in the span of 19 days. Clay, we start with you, sir. What's the move here?
Well, this is a tough one because the Mavericks have won 2 of their last 4, and the Grizzlies have lost their last 3 games. So, it's a tough one. The Mavericks are fighting for a playoff spot. They got that 8th seed. The Grizzlies are a 3 seed. So these are 2 teams that are in the hunt. One team that's, pretty much in. This year, the Mavericks are 24-41 against the spread, right? So that leans me to go for the Grizzlies. They're 30-32 against the spread this year. I like them as a team. The Mavs have JaVale McGee out, Bullock out, Maxi Keebler's out. I'm sorry. Even though the Grizzlies, Steven Adams is out, and obviously you got the Ja Morant stuff. What's going on with Ja Morant? Who knows? Brandon Clark's out, Vince Williams out, but I mean they've lost their last 3. The Grizzlies have, but the Mavericks are 24-41 against the spread. People will probably go with the Mavericks because of Luka. The guy's a baller, and because Ja Morant is out for the Grizz, but I'm going to go with the Grizz here. The Mavericks haven't been playing great. 2 of their last 4, they're not good against the spread. The Grizzlies, the Mavericks are going to be favored here, so I'm going to go with the Grizzlies to win this one.
Clay going with the home team in Memphis. B. Lang, what's the deal?
Guns and alcohol in bars, franchise player, you now take a leave of absence as the warden said to Paul Newman and Cool Hand Luke. That's your problem, Luke. You got to get your mind right, Luke. You got to get your mind right, Luke. Well, Ja's got to get his mind right. On the flip side, little development last night with the Dallas Mavs and I believe New Orleans. Luka left the game in the 3rd quarter with a leg injury, tried to return, did not finish. He'll probably be questionable. It'll be a game time decision. No Ja. Memphis imploded at home without Ja. They're struggling. Tough game here for me. I don't know which way to go with Luka not playing. We know Ja's going to be out. But at the end of the day, Dallas at home against this Memphis team without Ja. I know there's no Luka, but I think Dallas figures out a way to get it done. I'm not a believer in this Memphis squad. I think their coach has lost the team. They just don't look like the team they did earlier in the year. And with Kyrie, no Luka, Dallas might be a small home dog here. Who knows? This is a tough one. But at the end of the day, I can't stand Memphis. I don't like their vibe. I don't like their coach. They quit in the 4th quarter of games. They went into Golden State. No Steph, no Clay, no this, no that. Couldn't beat them as a 7-point road favorite. I don't trust them as much as I trust myself in a strip bar with a Black American Express. I'm going to take Dallas.
B. Lang going with Dallas. Clay Harbor going with Memphis. I have my concerns about Dallas's depth when Luka is not even close to 100%, which is probably the scenario for this game. Tough one to pick, B. Lang. You're absolutely right. But I will lean again with the athlete on this one. Clay Harbor, I'm with you, brother. Memphis to get it done there against Dallas. Let's talk about Brooklyn and Denver. This one on Sunday, 3:30 Eastern time. The Nuggets, led by Jokic, of course, recently had a bad loss to a sub-500 Bulls team. The Nets had a brutal February, losing 8 of their last 9 to wrap up the month. So again, something sort of has to give here. Brandon, we go to you. What's the deal?
I'll say it again. There's no rhyme or reason to the NBA. Denver Nuggets should win this game by 100. Simple as that. Brooklyn has no one. They gave everything away. They fired Jason Kidd. Jock Vaughn still probably wishes he was back at Kansas with the Jayhawks playing for his boy Bill Self. At the end of the day, there's no rhyme or reason why the Nuggets, after losing to the Bulls, will not be focused here. You're probably going to be dealing with an 11-12 number. And I look for the Nuggets to be focused. Like you said, brutal losing streak for the Nets. I just don't think they match up. I'll lay the wood with Denver to get it done, especially after the subpar effort against the Bulls the other night.
What do you think that number is going to be, Brandon?
11.5, 12.
Okay. Clay?
12.
The Nets have won their last 3, though. That's something that's interesting. And then, like you said, the Bulls put a tough one on the Nuggets and Denver. So that's the thing. You never know what you're going to get. The Bulls should not have been able to come into Denver and beat the Nuggets. The Nets probably shouldn't have been able to win their last 3. So for me, with the spread, the way it's looking, I know Jokic is the MVP. I love Jamal Murray. I love Aaron Gordon. I love Michael Porter Jr. And they got 7 players averaging over 10 points a game. So they got depth. This Nuggets team, if you're looking at it, you're going to have to go with the Nuggets. But I do like that this team is going to be favored greatly. They're coming off of a bad loss. I'm not sold that they're going to be able to – I think they'll win the game. But I think when the spread comes out, I'm going to lean towards the Nets. The Nets have been on a roll. They're playing more team basketball, and they got something to prove. They're still in the hunt. So I'm going with the Nets to cover against the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets win the game, the Nets cover.
This is a beautiful thing.
I'm going to tell you this, especially in the NBA. Sometimes you don't want to be on the wrong side of a blowout. Nets go to Chicago, lose 131-87. They go to New York, lose to the Knicks 142-118. That's what I say. I'll lose with Team A before I try to win with Team B, because I'm not going to sit there and be on the wrong end. Yeah, nice win at Boston, nice win at Charlotte, nice win against Houston. This could be the wrong end of one of those 167, 120s head scratchers. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Good luck with that, bro. Good luck. You might be over that. You might not be loving life, but then again, you get one of those NBA outscore them in the fourth quarter, 38-20, when the other team's up by 25, you get the backdoor cover. So number love. Yeah, number love.
Yeah, after all of that monologue there from Brandon, I'm going with Denver on this one. I just think they are the far better team. I hate laying this sort of number, especially in an NBA game, but I will do that with this one. So 2 for Clay, 1 for Brandon in the NBA. Guys, let's go to March Madness. And let's talk about some futures courtesy of Bet Online. And we start with a really interesting one here. Teams to make the Final Four. So not championship, just make it within that last 4. Houston, the favorite, of course. You've got Bama, Kansas, UCLA, 2-1, Purdue, plus 275, Arizona, plus 350, Connecticut, serious value there at 4-1, Gonzaga, Baylor, Texas, Tennessee, Marquette, Creighton, down the line from there. Clay, we're going to start with you, my friend. What is your approach here in terms of finding the value in this market?
You said it. You want to find the value. I want to find the teams that I think can make the Final Four. They're going to give me some value, some bang for my buck. So the first team I'm going with is Texas. Texas is led by 3 seniors. We got guys that can play. Marcus, Timmy Allen. These guys, Sir Jabari Rice. These guys can all play. They just beat Kansas. They beat Kansas State. They beat Kansas I mean, a week and a half ago. This team can play. They can beat the best. They've shown they can do it. I love Gonzaga. They're 6'10" big man. I mean, this guy can play, man. This guy can play. Drew Timmy. They got experience. They got a good team. They've won their last 9 games, or they've won 12 of their last 13, and they've won 23 of their last 25. I love Gonzaga. And then Creighton, another team that gives you some value. 5 players over 10 points a game. They got 4 players shooting over 32% from the three-point line. They're 3-3 in their last 6, but they've won their last 2, and they're a streaky team. They started the season winning 6 games in a row, and they lost the next 6. So they've won 2 in a row, so I'm thinking they get back on a streak. So these are some teams that can really bring you some value, and they're not a team that's not going to give you, some. Creighton plus 750, Texas plus 600, Gonzaga plus 450. Love all the teams, and you're going to get some value for them.
Yeah, I like those names down the board there. By the way, might be best to wait until the bracket is released before you go ahead and make these bets. But Brandon, your thoughts on what Clay said there, and where do you see the value?
No waiting on the bracket.
No waiting?
No waiting. These teams can't roll through where they're placed to get to the Final Four based on the numbers in front of you. First and foremost, getting Houston at plus 140 is a steal. I don't know if you've seen them play. They're legit. I think I mentioned last week on the show, they play as if their mom's being held hostage and she dies if you don't get it filled up with 40 minutes. It's unbelievable. Their 2 losses this year, they probably should have won both games. The Temple game was a weird tip at the buzzer, point blank range. This team could be undefeated. So Houston plus 140 is an absolute gift. Keep an eye on Connecticut plus 400. Started the year off 14-0, and then Danny Hurley was going through some lineup changes and missing pieces, went through a little lull. And then as of this taping right now, going to the biggest tournament, they've won 7 in a row, and they look like that team earlier this year, plus 400. And don't sleep on UCLA, plus 200. Probably the best coach in college basketball that nobody talks about is Cronin. I mean, the man's an absolute beast, even more of a gentleman. I've had cocktails with him at the Kentucky Derby. I'm a big fan of him. And UCLA down the stretch has played absolutely sensational. And my sleeper, my man Shaka Smart and Marquette. They can go. When I say go, they can go at plus 700. Keep an eye. Dwayne Wayne resurrected with Tom Crean getting to the Final Four back in Marquette days. Let's roll with Shaka and Marquette at plus 700.
I will say the eventual NCAA champion has been within the top 40 in adjusted offense, top 25 in adjusted defense. Creighton is in that category. Another one that's sort of a dark horse, St. Mary's. Keep an eye on them as we go forward here. All right, I like Texas, so I'm going to ride with that one there for you, Clay. I think that's a smart move, a good team, balanced team. And then, Brandon, Connecticut, I'm telling you right now, they're showing me signs of like 2014 championship kind of team, right? Different type of basketball, if you will, not so much the guard play, but the defense. But I like those 2 plays for you guys, so I'll agree with both of you on that one. All right, let's continue along here. Stick with the March Madness theme. Brandon, over at Bet Online, you can bet on the winning conference, and I'm curious to know what your approach is here. The Big 12 is the favorite, plus 225, AAC plus 400, of course, because of Houston, SEC, the field at plus 450, Big 10, Pac-12, ACC is 10-1. What is the approach for you here?
Houston wins it all. Houston wins it all. Just like the makeup of their team, they rebound, they play defense, they got 3-point shooters. Their coach has been knocking on the door the last couple of years, and I think this is a breakthrough from him. He has a business model. He sticks to that business model, recruits the same kind of kids, the same kind of athletes for his system. And I think it comes all together for the Houston Cougars. Grab that conference at plus 400.
Clay?
No, I like Brandon. I think he's onto something there. Plus 400 is great odds, even just with Houston there. But I mean, another valuable conference I think that you can look at is the Big 10. Plus 450. I think that they got some teams that can go deep. They got a solid conference. They're going to play basketball. I love Purdue. I love Indiana. I think Northwestern's in. I think Illinois is in. Michigan State. These are some teams I think can pull some upsets and can get deep in the tournament. I think Purdue is a dark horse for me that not a lot of people are talking about that can really get there and have a chance to win this thing. So for value, I'm not saying they're the favorite, but for the value you're getting, I think there's a good chance that it could happen.
Getting an extra.
The problem with me at Purdue is their big man plays like the engine in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So I got a big guy for Purdue.
They do struggle from the perimeter there. The Boilermakers do. You're getting an extra $75 though, in theory, if you are betting on the Big Ten there. I like both of those selections there, guys. So some value on both ends. All right, let's continue along here. Just a few minutes left. Let's go to the NFL draft and talk about the first overall pick odds. Clay, this is right up your alley. Bryce Young, the heavy juiced favorite, -165. CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, Will Anderson, Jalen Carter is 33-1 now, considering all the recent headlines. Clay, is it Bryce or bust? What's the deal?
Finally, we're talking about America's sport. We're talking about football. This is what I love. This is my game. This is the best game on earth, football, the NFL draft. I was drafted back in 2010 to the Philadelphia Eagles. Number one pick. I think there's a good opportunity that's either good. CJ Stroud. Value, I'd take Stroud over Young if you're going with one of the quarterbacks, +250 instead of -165. But then again, Jalen Carter at +3,300 is a no-brainer. Obviously, the legal troubles, you don't know what's going to come of it. What I'm hearing is he's not going to get indicted. It's not going to be anything serious. If the Bears can't trade that pick, which in my opinion, there's a good chance they don't. You're hearing they could. There's some people saying they can't. If they don't trade that pick, Jalen Carter will be the first pick in the draft. He will be hands down if they don't trade that pick. I'm taking him. They're taking Carter over Will Anderson. I'm hearing the legal issues aren't that big of a deal. I think CJ Stroud, if you want to go for the long shot, the Bears don't trade the pick, you're cashing in with Jalen Carter. Go Jalen Carter here.
$100 on that one, and if I cash it, that's my rent and more, Brandon. Does that make sense to you? What's the move, my friend?
Well, I've learned in this business to trust a football player when it comes to football stuff, especially a guy that got drafted. Only place I ever got drafted was in pickup games. I was always the first white boy selected. So that's I am the best white boy never to play in the NBA. That makes logical sense because it makes no sense for Chicago to take a quarterback when they have Justin Fields. So that goes to, are they going to trade the pick? And if they don't, it makes no sense to take a quarterback unless they then take a quarterback and then trade him via draft day with Kevin Costner. So that makes logical sense. I also agree with Clay that CJ Stroud is going to be a better NFL quarterback than Bryce Young. I firmly believe that. I don't know why people are going nuts over Bryce Young. The performance CJ Stroud put on against Georgia, I just don't know what people need to see. But then again, the pro scouts are pretty clueless sometimes. They're glorified guys who got coffee 20 years ago that are running football teams because their buddy got him a job as a assistant to the assistant to the assistant, and 20 years later they get promoted to general manager. There are some good ones out there, but we've seen huge mistakes. I have to agree with Clay that if there's no way Chicago takes a quarterback, there's just no way. They'll trade the pick or they'll pick a quarterback and then trade him. But if there's a selection in the first pick of the draft, plus 3,300 with Carter or plus 1,400 with Will Anderson makes perfect sense.
I'm going to wrap up with that one. We're going to ride with plus 3,300. I want to pay for my rent. Let's go, baby. You've been tuning into Believe Me right here on Stadium. For Clay Harbor and Brandon Lang, I'm Cam Rogers. We will see you next week.